Hello, welcome to May 18th. Let's do it.
Hello.
We're going to get the party started with today's entry from the Daily Stoic, which is how you do anything is how you do everything.
That's cool. There is, that reminds me of saying my grandpa used to say is like, if you do something, do it fully. Like don't just like half-ass things, like go into it fully or something,
Yeah.
That's cool. And I've always remembered that, like, even, and then my mom says that, right? And like, so has been always that kind of flavor in there of like, make sure if you go do it, just do it right. Do it
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually heard this exact phrase, how you do.
Do it right also means don't quit on it or something prematurely.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, like do it
a
to
sentence.
completion.
Do it
like
to completion.
Doing it right means don't give up on it when it gets hard. Like
that's exactly
stick it out.
Okay, but you were saying?
I've actually heard this exact quote, how you do anything is how you do everything, frequently actually in the yoga world. And I'm having a hard time recalling the specific teachers or classes or studios I was in when I would hear it. But there would be some times that the teacher would actually say this in the middle of class. And it was such an interesting environment to hear that phrase in, because it's a solo activity. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm moving through these body movements, but I have all my self-talk that's also kind of leading the experience in some way. Like, because the self-talk would be like, would see me in the mirror and someone else in the mirror, and would see like, oh, they're doing something that looks really cool. I want to be the person who can also do something that looks really cool. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I would do it, and then I would be like, oh, then someone would tell me something like this, like how you do anything is how you do everything. And all of a sudden it would be obvious of like, oh, like this flavor of my self-talk also underscores how I show up at work or how I show up in a friend group, and I could see like the insecurity that was in that yoga class would be like then showing up in other places. And so I always found it really interesting to like think about this in the context of just something where I'm not trying to like, create a birdhouse or like, solve a problem at work. It's just I'm moving my body on a yoga mat through poses that mean nothing, that are meaningless, but I'm engaging with them in a particular way. And it became obvious to me of like, holy shit, this is my operating system for like all of the other stuff.
Yeah, like labeling it all and then
trying to
compete against yesterday,
feeling bad about myself if others, I can't do something. Rushing the process, like rushing to get the outcome. I would skip over this thing or that thing, and maybe I would even tweak something in a weird way or hurt myself in a little bit of way, but that was because it was all coming from this compared over here, feel shitty about myself over here, can't fail here, must achieve this. Like all of that was like underscoring it, and so yeah, I really love this phrase.
Okay, cool. Let's see what they got for us.
Awesome. Okay. Marcus Aurelius has something short and sweet. It's one sentence. He says, pay attention to what's in front of you. The principle, the task, or what's being portrayed.
I like it, but what's the portrayed? The last one is kind of confusing.
Even the first one, the principle. So the task makes sense to me. Pay attention to the task. Pay attention to the principle. Like pay attention to like the idea.
Of principle, maybe of how the task needs to be done. Yeah. Like the process.
Like the value system behind the task of like this is why we're doing this and for what purpose and it's important it gets done this way because this way has a quality to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so then he says what's being portrayed. And the only thing I can think
how
of
it's
is
being
like,
looked upon.
how it's being portrayed. Portrayed means like being acted out.
Portray. Oh,
So
okay.
what I'm thinking is like if I'm observing activity,
Mm-hmm.
so like pay attention to the different activities. So like not a task, but like if I'm watching birds or if like we're at the beach and we're like watching a person or something,
Mm-hmm.
like that's what I'm imagining that he means by what's being portrayed.
Yeah, paying attention to something. It's almost like it makes me want to say like I gotta pay attention to something that I'm choosing to pay attention to, and that's what I'm practicing, the paying attention to the thing that I'm doing. So if I'm walking on the beach, it's not necessarily that I wouldn't be thinking about work, let's say. But if I'm walking on the beach and thinking about work, then I'm gonna think about that work. Like, okay, let me go really, how can I do that? Like, it's not just this superficial, like, oh, problems at work.
It's not like an autopilot.
It's not like this autopilot. It's like I'm trying to focus, like, okay, like, let's move this forward somewhere.
You're actively, like you're consciously choosing to spend the beach walk thinking about work for a purpose, for an intended purpose.
Yeah.
And then it's also like, okay, there's an ending to this. And when the ending time comes, then I make another conscious decision to not have this follow me around for the rest of the night, but I actually go do the next thing.
Sure, yeah, and it feels good to come up with something, or like not that I come up with it, but like something by focusing and thinking about it, new things come up that are like, oh, there's new options we can go try, right? So that feels already victorious, because it's like, oh, I thought I was at the dead end, and now there are more things to go further down into the rabbit hole. Beautiful. That's awesome. That feels like next step has been discovered or something, you know. And now it needs to get done. Yeah. Fun.
Anything else before we tap into Ryan's commentary?
No, that's good. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Ryan says, it's fun to think about the future. It's easy to ruminate on the past. It's harder to put that energy into what's in front of us right at this moment, especially if it's something we don't want to do. We think, this is just a job. It isn't who I am. It doesn't matter. But it does matter. Who knows? It might be the last thing you ever do. Here lies Dave, buried alive under a mountain of unfinished business. There's an old saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. It's true. How you handle today is how you'll handle every day. How you handle this minute is how you'll handle every minute.
Now I can see how that fluctuates. Like, let's say if we're talking about it like, oh, I want to live this minute focusing on something and not be distracted. Okay, cool. So then the next minute will probably be very similar, right? But then I get distracted, and then it goes to a bunch of minutes of being distracted with something else, and maybe getting distracted from that to another, you know, so it fluctuates. But again, trying, kind of like what yesterday was, right? Like the trying to do that is already a huge step.
Right, or it was like a couple of days ago that it was like...
Not step, winning almost. That's already like accomplishment. Sorry, keep going.
Wait, what? What did you say though? The last thing, like
because
the
I was
winning.
saying, because I said it's like a super good next step, but it's almost like it's not just next step. It already is a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because like it's almost like not every single minute, but it's like looking at the collection of minutes over a period of time and pulling out like the trend line from it. So like the thing from the couple of days ago of like, well, I used to get angry every day, and now I get angry every 2 days, and then I get angry every week or something like that. So there is a trend line to it. And so, yeah, it's probably the how you do anything is how you do everything thing is it also has to be looked at on like a more macro scale,
Mm-hmm.
and not just on like well, I'm distracted in this moment, so that means I'm distracted in every moment of my life. It's like, no, like I'm distracted in this moment, but this moment is couched by, or like, surrounded by 50 moments that were like pure focus, dialed in.
Yeah.
And so let's assume that like the next little period of my life is going to have more of that, and more of that, and more of that.
Yeah, and then I also, like, when sometimes I deviate from it, like now, like I'm trying to next, and it's like, no, it's not going that way. It's not going that way. It's not. I gotta be nice to myself when I deviate from it and say like, okay, hey, you fall off the balancing beam, right? So it's okay. Get back up on it and try again. Try the balancing again. Like that should not feel, falling off the balancing bar should not feel bad. It should just be like, that's just what happens. You know what I mean? That's just what happens. So that's cool. That's part of it. Again, it's part of it. It's nothing out of ordinary that you're not in balance. No, that's part of the system. And what you were trying to do is to be on that bar for some time, as long as we possibly can. And then we fall off, and don't shame ourselves. Let's not shame ourselves about that whole thing of falling off of it. Yeah. Because that then helps us to get back up on top of it and keep trying again. Right? Because that I see, like when I'm not nice to myself about these things, that's when then after that I feel more discouraged to do it again. Yeah, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Feeling buttoned up on this one.
Buttoned up, very cool. All right. Buttoned up everywhere. Thank you all.
Thank you for joining. We'll see you here tomorrow, and tell us something. Tell us what your favorite, do you like what your favorite color question is that you got at work this week? Ollie started a job this week and they were like, what's your favorite color? In like his first team meeting, which is wonderful. What's your favorite color?
Oh, mine is green. So
Ollie's is green.
That was very easy.
Ollie's is green. Mine is periwinkle. He's laughing at me like that's not fake color. No, it's periwinkle. It's like a blue, like a light blue with like a hint of lavender in it. You know.
Very cool.
What's your favorite color? See you tomorrow.
What's your favorite color, baby? Living colors.